Hi Grade 8s, these are the Evidence of Learning solutions for Week 4, Lesson 2, Kites and Rhombuses. Now we're going to look at kites first, and as you can see on the left here, a kite is just what you might think it is. It does look exactly like a kite that you might fly. Now when we calculate the perimeter of a kite, we just use the general formula, P equals the sum of all sides. So all we need to do is add together all of the sides. Now these lines on the top of the kite show us that the top two sides are equal, and the other pair with two dashed lines are equal as well. So if we were to give these values, the bottom two sides are both 2 meters, and the top two sides are both 1 meter. So when we calculate the sum of sides, we would add up 1 meter plus 1 meter plus 2 meters plus 2 meters to find out our total perimeter. Now when we calculate the area of a kite, we use the formula area equals half xy, or xy over 2. Now what the x value actually means is if you imagine a Cartesian plane or a graph, the x-axis is the horizontal axis. So this line at the bottom here, from the left point of the kite all the way to the right point of the kite, is our x value. Our y value then, just like on a graph, is from the very top to the very bottom of our kite. So when we have those two values of x and y, we multiply them together and we divide by 2. Let's do some examples now. So with perimeter, remember our formula is just the sum of all sides, so we need to add together our side lengths. Remembering what these little lines mean here, our first side that we can see is 6 meters, but we know that the side right next to it is also 6 meters, plus the other two sides at the bottom are both 3 meters. And we know that because they both have one line. So adding together 6 meters plus 6 meters plus 3 meters plus 3 meters, in total we'll have 18 meters. Now looking at the area, so our formula once again, the area of a kite is x times y divided by 2, or a half xy. So once again, our x is our horizontal value, which is 12 millimeters, and our y is our vertical value, which is 12 millimeters as well. So 12 millimeters times 12 millimeters divided by 2. When we solve the top line, we get 144 millimeters squared, and we're dividing that by 2. So our final answer will be 72 millimeters squared. Remembering with area, our units are always squared. So that's how you calculate the perimeter and area of a kite. We're now going to look at rhombuses. Now a rhombus is a special shape because it's both a kite and a parallelogram. And if you need to revise what a parallelogram is, you can definitely find another tutorial about parallelograms on my channel. Now a rhombus is different because all 4 sides are equal, just like a square. And because it is like a square, the perimeter formula that we use is the same as a square. So perimeter equals 4 times the side. So all we need is one side length of a rhombus because they're all the same, and we multiply that side by 4. But when we calculate the area of a rhombus, there are 2 formulas that we can choose from. And that depends on whether our rhombus is a kite, like this example on the left, or a parallelogram, like this example on the right. So if we're given a kite, so we're given an x value and a y value, we use the kite formula, which is xy over 2. However, if we're given a parallelogram with a base and a height, we use the parallelogram formula, which is base times height. So the formula we use for a rhombus is based entirely on which values we are given. Are we given an xy, then we use the kite formula, or are we given a base and height, in which case we use the parallelogram formula. So let's do an example of perimeter first. So looking at our shape on the left, all 4 sides are equal, as indicated by these lines, and each side is 2.2 meters. So our rhombus perimeter formula is 4 times s, so 4 times our side length, which is 2.2 meters. And so our answer here will just be 8.8 meters. Now looking at an area example now, this first shape that we have here, we need to first decide, is that a kite or is it a parallelogram? And we can see we're given a base, 20 meters, and a height, 17.5 meters. So we know that we need to use the parallelogram formula, and that formula was base times height. So our base is 20 meters, and we multiply that by our height, which is 17.5 meters. And so our answer will be 350 meters squared. Now that is if our rhombus is in the form of a parallelogram, But let's quickly look now at an example of area when the rhombus is a kite. And just like our kite example from before, we use the formula xy over 2. Our x value is 5 centimeters, and our y value is also 5 centimeters. So very simply, 5 centimeters times by 5 centimeters divide by 2. And when we simplify the top, we get 25 centimeters squared. And when we divide that by 2, we end up with 12.5 centimeters squared. So that's how you calculate the perimeter and area of a rhombus based on whether it's in the form of a kite or a parallelogram.